Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Yes, the older man is back with another quite controversial topic today. And this one is coming up because I spent 2 hours watching a debate on a podcast called The Crucible. And this is with, what's his name again? Andrew Wilson and a young lady called Jasmine Jaffer. Now, I don't know if you guys know Andrew, but he is quite a learned man. He's a conservative Christian, and he's incredibly sharp at debating. Jasmine, on the other hand, is an attorney turned OnlyFans girl, and I can't even say that without laughing. It just shows you when things get tough for women, man, they could just sell their body and they're good. They're good. It's amazing, man. But anyway, this was a debate because despite, her deciding that OnlyFans was her choice, she's actually quite sharp in a delusional sort of fashion. But it made for an interesting debate because it shows you the mind of a feminist. It really gets you deep in there for you to understand what education have done to a lot of women and why it didn't make any difference when it came to logic and understanding of humanity. And so I want to touch on this subject because I have said this in quite a few of my videos, and you guys, I don't think it's hitting home. Feminism is literally destroying the human race. It's killing societies. And I want to back it up because Andrew sees this quite clearly. And he demonstrates this in this particular video. I want you guys to listen to how feminism have really rotted a woman's thought process. But more importantly, her morality. The idea that a woman's happiness should come first before anything else. This selfish attitude that a lot of modern women now possess, where it's all about me, and my happiness, and I don't care about anyone else. And that's why we see so many women leaving long-term good, solid marriages, destroying the family home, destroying their husbands, and destroying their kids' mental health. Because women have been told that they deserve it all. Materialism, this idea that they should have everything, the top men, the top this, the best education, the best of everything. This has been perpetrated through the Western society to the point where women are no longer having babies.
The world's population is increasing and its birth rate is falling. South Korea already had the world's lowest birth rate, but this week new data showed it had fallen further. Japan also recorded a new low.
The
decline of births is in a state of crisis. I believe we are at a time when we have to take urgent measures.
Thus, the inevitable collapse of a society. Guys, I want you to understand one very simple point about society. Just hold this in your head.
The birth rate is the average number of children that each woman has, and when birth rates are discussed, you'll see this number a lot, 2.1. This is the birth rate needed to maintain population levels. South Korea's not close. Last year, its rate was 0.72. Japan is at 1.26. To put this in context, the EU average is 1.53 and the UK is at 1.49, and that is a record low. In fact, many countries are now below 2.1.
Even countries with relatively high birth rates are often at half the birth rate of what they were. And the average person now lives in a country in the world that has a lower than replacement fertility rate.
And birth rates matter because they contribute to long-term changes in our populations and the consequences that follow.
When these two things, people being born, people dying versus people being born, in that point where they're equal, that is called a death cross. And once you drop below that, the society cannot recover itself. Social security is a Ponzi scheme. When there's not enough money going in to the scheme, and more money is coming out than going in, the system collapses. Just so you guys understand this. Nowadays, most women are having one or less than one, meaning no kids at all. That's the problem that we're having. And so there's not enough kids to replace the old generation.
Low birth rates can cause populations to fall. Japan's is expected to decrease by 30% by 2070, South Korea's to halve by the end of the century. In some countries, including the UK, the situation is different. Populations are projected to increase, mainly because of immigration.
Andrew's arguing for the patriarchy, which encourages women to be at home, be the homemaker, be the traditional wife. I don't see how that could happen in today's day and age, but that's a whole other discussion. And Jasmine, she's arguing that women deserve to be happy. So let's take it up from there.
Whereas the patriarchal societies, which we can clearly see, and you have conceded are patriarchal, can do so.
Can we pull up, because I thought birth rates were kind of declining in all kinds of countries, whether and some of them are patriarchal as well. From what I've seen.
Yeah, so I'll quickly, so birth rates are declining in every, I believe, Western country besides Israel, where it's going up.
Because of in vitro fertilization.
But is it also not declining in any of the other countries?
No, it's on a much smaller decline, and many of them are going up. And most of this is due to the religious backing and the patriarchal systems which are in place, which tell women, stay home and take care of your family. Don't go work a job 60 hours a week, because that's insane.
Can you check on this, Alex? I'm sure it's declining in all the Western countries, but isn't it also declining in the majority or in a lot of other patriarchal countries?
For example, in Russia, it's declining, and Russia is definitely not a Western country.
Declining at a far.
It's declining at a. Where it's going up is India,
patriarch. Caste system.
I think
you'll see it in Middle Eastern nations,
countries like Philippines and stuff like that.
She's trying to argue that birth rates in patriarchal societies are falling at the same rate or falling just like they are in modern societies, which is BS. It isn't. And just so you understand, all of these countries are patriarchal societies run by mostly men. The word that they're missing here is gynocentric societies, which are societies run by men but controlled or geared towards female happiness and female satisfaction, a push towards the feminist ideals. This is where the problem lies. And as we see feminism creep into these primarily patriarchal systems, bringing in a gynocentric type society that pushes for women to be in the workplace and compete with men, women having less kids, we start to see the birth rates fall to a dangerous low. So even though Russia is primarily patriarchal, feminism still has creeped into the cities, and it has creeped into a lot of these females' consciousness, the Western ideal, and it is slowly coming down. As this creeps across the world, including the Caribbean, including all of the Western societies. Europe is in bad shape. I'll try to put up one of the numbers here for Europe, but Europe is in bad shape. South Korea is finished. Japan is finished. They have passed the death cross. So let's continue with the debate.
You'll see in African nations.
I think if I were to look this up, for every country you can say it's declining in the West, I could probably pick another one that's not patriarchal where it's not, or where it's also declining. But I don't have that in front of me.
Not at the same rates. Let me explain to you just how bad this problem is.
Why is it declining at all over there?
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to answer your question. Okay. Take South Korea, for instance. After it became westernized and it brought in egalitarianism, right? It has the lowest birth rate, to my knowledge, of any place on planet Earth. It's so bad that in 150 years, there's not going to be a Korea. It's not even reproducing itself. It's under the 1. It's under the 1. It's like 0.90, right? We need to be at like 2.2, something in there, at least 2.1. Right? And we're way under that threshold, and we are nosediving. And this has a lot to do with the fact that career women are focusing on career first. They're focusing on all of these things first before they focus on family. Historically, that's never happened. And I think that the best way to deal with that issue so that we can have a human race, because that sounds great to me, would be for us to institute some types of policies which, once again, favor the patriarchal system. And I think that that's inevitable anyway.
Okay, so my question here is that what do you think of all the data? So there's obviously conflicting ideas on whether we're even overpopulated, whether the birth rate declining is even good or bad. I'm not even going to get into that because I honestly haven't read too much into it. But I have read a lot.
She's trying to throw a red herring in the mix. We are not overpopulated. I've heard this so many times in my comment section. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is not overpopulated. The world is oversaturated in cities. There are towns and villages all over the world that are paying people to come there to stay in small rural areas all over the world. We've seen these ads on Instagram all over. They will pay you to come and live in those places. They will give you either tax breaks, they will give you free homes. Italy, I saw that they were selling a home, and you can come and buy a home for 100 euros in some of these little towns. 100 euros. Yeah, because the town is pretty much dying or dead because all of the young people have moved to cities.
This beautiful small town in Italy wants to offer you an incentive to move there. Radice Aquatica is looking to grow its population by granting you $40,000 Canadian to those who purchase a home in the town. But there is a catch. The home you choose to purchase will have to be registered as your official address, and the money gifted to you has to be used towards either buying or renovating the property. But considering the cost of living in Canada, it might be worth looking into.
It's exciting. That's where all the jobs are created. So all of these cities are just cram packed. That's why now you can go to Tokyo and you got to buy a little cubicle that you can barely lie down in for $1,000. That's your house. Same thing is happening in California because the young generation, the ones that should be producing, are staying in cities. They're not staying in the boring towns, as they put it. They're looking for the excitement and the job opportunities. But guess what happens when they go into these places? They're working their ass off. They're trying to climb the corporate ladder. They're trying to get the best white-collar jobs. They're competing at a harsh rate. Women competing with men. They're exhausted. Everybody's just hooking up. No one's interested in getting married. And so no kids are being born. And most of these women are putting off getting into marriages, having kids until their late 30s. How many kids you could think you can have after 40? You might squeeze out one at 41 or 40 without having serious problems in childbirth. So what's the sense of having one child? You got one child, which is still below the 2.2 replacement rate.
But I have read a lot about the studies on happiness and having children, and it actually seems to have a very bad effect on your happiness and your marital satisfaction when you have children.
So
and
I guess nobody should have children?
I'm not saying nobody should have children, but I'm just saying clearly the default of having children may not even be the best.
So let me ask you for an entailment here. Let's assume for a second, hypothetically, that 80% of women were miserable after they had children. That was like the default. 80% of them just became miserable. You realize that if 80% of women checked out of reproduction, there would be no more human race. Would you say that that's okay? That's fine?
I think that there is, obviously, for a long time, there was a time where everyone said, oh my God, there's too many people. And now there are people
like, answer my question, please.
Too little people. I do believe I don't think we evolutionarily malfunctioned in 2023. And actually, the upper ranks of society are the only ones, the higher socioeconomic status, educated women are actually the ones that are having more.
You haven't answered my question. Answer my question. And I'll repeat the hypothetical to you. Let's say for a second, in this hypothetical, 80% of women.
Oh, God. She's evading the question. She's just babbling around the question. Women have this thing in their head that they should be happy. They should be happy every day, all the time, every day. Just, it's.
You're 31 and getting a divorce because you don't like him.
Yeah, I fell out of love with him. I think we just went to
Okay, but do you have any children?
No, thank God.
Well, and you've been with him since how old?
Since I was 18, but we got married at 20.
All right. And what do you think's waiting for you out here?
New possibilities.
That's one way to frame it.
He's ready for kids. I'm not ready for kids. I worked hard for my degree and my career. Why should I have to give it up? Especially when I don't have any kids.
Okay. So your husband wanted you to stay home and you wanted to go to work.
Yes. But Kevin, I work. I'm a nurse.
Congratulations. That matters.
I work with a lot of doctors. Actually.
So what? You're 31 and getting a divorce because you don't like him.
Yeah, I fell out of love with him. I think we just went to different ways.
Do you have any children?
The fairy tale bullshit that have been pushed on women is insane. No one asked a man, hey, while you're out on the road toiling and building those roads and putting and competing with other men. Are you happy? Are you happy? You know, when you married that woman, the one that no longer gives you sex on a regular basis, but you know, when you were single, you used to get sex from Jane, Janet, Jacqueline, and Stephanie, and all of, and you were just having a great old time. When you decide to marry that one woman now, who now basically holds the punani as hostage, are you happy? Are you? Are you? After working 40, 60 hours a week and come home to give your money to a miserable wife and, you know, take care of 2 kids and a house mortgage and a car loan and all the other stuff to take care of your family. Are you happy? Or you're not? Well, fuck you. Don't give a shit. But is your wife happy? Oh, she's happy? Oh, she's not happy. Oh, God. Okay, well, she has every right to leave you because she's not happy. This idea that life is supposed to be all about happiness is a freaking lie that have been taught to women. This idea that you are the bee's knees and you should be happy, girl. You should be out shopping every day and taking trips and eating at the best and the finest restaurants. You should be happy. Happy, girl. And you know what? Kids make you unhappy. Who the hell convinced women that kids made them unhappy? My wife is the most happiest thing because of our kids. And I have never met a woman yet who have not said, listen, having kids is hard as shit, but I would never, ever change it for anything else. And you know who's the most happiest? The mothers who have a supporting father in the house. Because single mothers aren't happy. Because I can assure you, if this survey was taken from the 76% of the black community that are single mothers, or the 46 or 50 something percent of single mothers in the white community, you would get a very skewed report about happiness when it comes to childbirth or having kids, because single mothers are not happy. So please get the information right. The idea that women are not happy with kids is the biggest and stupidest thing I've ever heard. Women who are in nuclear families are happy. Listen, it's not easy. But what's the purpose of life after you have bought all your shit, went to one country and came back, seen another country and come back, eaten the best fragua over here, or drank the best Pinot Grigio? After you've done that for a while, you know what? Your level of happiness will drop. Trust me, I know. I've been around way too many rich people who've not had kids and have had kids. So please, woman, get your information right and stop trying to perpetrate this bullshit about women are not happy when they have kids. It's a lie. It's single mothers that are not happy when they have kids. The responsibility of having a child as an individual is tough as shit.
Let's say for a second, in this hypothetical, 80% of women who had children were totally miserable as the side effect of having children. Would you say then that they shouldn't have children, even though that would clearly end humanity? Would you say that that's okay? I would
never tell someone that they should have children to serve humanity.
Okay, so then if humanity goes extinct tomorrow, you don't give a shit.
It's not going to go extinct tomorrow because people are making personal choices about whether or not to have kids. And if it did, even if it did, I would never force people to have children.
Yeah, but did you not listen to the entailment of your own hypothetical? The hypothetical is to test your morality. And the morality for you is that if the human race is gone tomorrow, you don't give a shit.
There, my friends, there you go. That is what I'm talking about. She said it. She don't give a shit about anything, anyone, beyond her happiness. Society could die off. This is why you never make women make decisions that are important for society. She says that she would prefer to see the society die than to make a woman feel unhappy. That is how deep the freaking virus is, my friends. And I'm telling you, so many women think like this.
Morality is not based on how to keep the human race going on and on and on and on. I care about the people here, their wants, their needs, their desires. Like I said.
So hedonism. It's just hedonism for you. It's not about cross-generation. It's not about keeping the human race intact. It's not about keeping people on this planet. It's just about pure fucking hedonism.
I support people doing what generally makes them happy as long as they don't harm other people. Now, you're saying they're harming future generations by not having kids. Now, I am not going to force people or tell people that they should do something so that in future generations that the race will continue to go on. Again, good for you.
So let it go extinct, right? So let it go extinct.
I look forward to it working because it's been failing for a really long time, and each coming generation agrees with you less and less and less. I know you're trying to get your band of men.
You see why Japan is dead? Because the majority of women have been taught this crap. Andrew gave her a hypothetical, and it's all about her happiness. This idea that you deserve happiness is literally wiping out the human race, and it's a lie. You know, guys, when you hear me speak like this, and when you hear me get behind women and criticize the BS, you have to understand I'm saying it for a reason, because I'm wise enough, I've been around long enough to see that this is a serious problem. And for those of you that haven't had kids or don't have kids, it's going to be rough for them.
Good for you. Again, I'm not worried about it because all your hypotheticals are like
each generation where. Hang on. I want you to understand actually how stupid what you're saying is. I just got done telling you, and you agreed, that all Western nations are on the decline for their own birth rate, which means their reproduction. They're not reproducing themselves. And all those patriarchal nations that you hate they are reproducing. It's all Western nations. Name me one that isn't.
No. I'm saying it's not all patriarchal nations.
The patriarchal nations, for sure, though, are reproducing themselves. At least enough of them.
We're not reproducing at all.
At least enough of them. For sure, though, the Western nations are not. And so you say, I can't believe how incredibly ignorant a plan would be that you think that patriarchy will reintroduce itself into society by necessity after you get done arguing that we're below replacement rates in the West and can't even reproduce ourselves. Okay, then wouldn't it be a necessary entailment then that patriarchy is inevitable?
If it's inevitable, I'm not seeing a sign of it coming back. Where is it? You're saying the birth rates are declining.
I just told you the sign of it.
Yeah, you're saying the birth rates are declining. You're saying that clearly this is failing. You're saying clearly women getting all these rights sucks. Clearly relationships shouldn't be like this. So why are you the only person that sees this? Are you just the one that's losing the rest of the world?
I will say that the message is ahead of its time, right? But the decline in the birth rates people have been sounding the alarm for a while. It's just been ignored. Because dumbass feminist propaganda and dumbass feminists who say stupid shit like, I don't care, even if it made 80% of women unhappy, I think the human race should go extinct so that my woman can be happy. We need the women to be happy.
It has been ignored because large corporations cater to women and their feelings, because those corporations know that if they say anything against the gynocentric society, then the woman will stop buying their products. We have become a slave to greed, my friends. And when you hear a woman's mind like this, trust me, there's a massive percentage of women whose brains thinks like this. My happiness first. To hell with duty and responsibility of a society and my kids. I don't give a shit. I'm happy. I need to go shopping. I need to go on my trips. I need to get as much D as possible so I can stay happy. And when I am old and I got my dogs and cats and my cat food, okay, then I could be sad. I could die alone. It's unreal.
So, who cares at the expense of everything else on planet Earth?
If 80% of women that were giving birth were dying, but they were dying in childbirth, but their kids were living on, and that was the way to keep the world going, would you force those women to have children?
Wow. Guys, you see why this caught my attention, right? I'm going to stop it there. You guys could go and spend 3 hours watching it on your own. I'll put a link in the bio. But I hope you guys understand the severity of the problem, because it's not an easy one to fix. South Korea are trying so many different methods. They're paying people to have kids, but the majority of the population are saying it's not enough. It's not enough incentive for them to have kids. And this is the thing about America. I watch a lot of American and British television. Those are my two primary channels that I watch. And the left and the right in both nations are constantly arguing about immigration, the influx of immigrants coming into the country.
Immigration can't counter all the impacts of a low birth rate.
There is no quick fix. There is no one fix to population decline or population aging. So birth rates affect population growth in the long run, whereas immigration can affect in the short run. But immigrants also age.
And as people live longer, combined with low birth rates, elderly people will make up a greater proportion of the population, as we've seen in Japan.
It's no surprise that Japan, which has had this very, very long, very low fertility rate and the oldest population in the world, has got the worst government finances in the developed world, because the government is indeed spending more and more on healthcare and pensions and has fewer and fewer taxpayers.
I can tell you one thing. Each government only pretends that they are trying to keep immigrants out. They're pretending. They need people in the country to pay taxes. Otherwise, the system will collapse. That's the only way to grow a population. And as people retire and get older, they become a burden on the social service system. Need more ramps for wheelchairs. You need more carers. People are on much more medication these days. People are living longer but need help. People aren't dying off. They need help. Therefore, the government system is paying.
If that's Japan, in the UK, a shift in the makeup of the population is coming. By 2070, the number of workers is projected to rise by 1 million. The number of pensioners will rise by 5 million. This will inevitably create pressures. The Economist argues that for countries with low birth rates, the implications are higher taxes, later retirements, lower real returns for savers, and possibly government budget crises. We'll see. But there's no doubt some governments are increasingly preoccupied with low birth rates and what's causing them. In South Korea, there are many reasons, including the cost of education and expectations of women in the workplace. Childcare is a consideration too, just as it is in the UK. According to a recent international study, the UK has some of the highest childcare costs in the world. There's also a shortage of places. And around the world, the availability of childcare impacts women's decisions.
So, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this little segment. I'm going to cut it off right there. By all means, go over to the Crucible and support those guys over there. I really enjoyed this type of debate, but simply because I see it being a serious problem in today's modern society. So, subscribe if you haven't already. You know I always ask this at the end. Give me a thumbs up at least. Okay, go over to askanolderman.com, book a session if you'd like to have a chat with me. If you guys want to have me on for any of your channels, I'll be happy to do that as well. I'm going to start doing some cross platforms. You know, I don't want you guys to get too bored with me, just me alone. I want to start talking to more people. I'm going to start having live shows as well. All right, so look forward to some exciting things, guys. And I will say it again, my membership site is going to be coming online. But right now, I want 10 people, 10 of you to join me on my fitness journey to lose 10 pounds, okay? 10 pounds in 2 months. This is a free invitation to join my membership site. No cost to you at all. I'm going to be taking you through the methods I use, my tools, tell you exactly how I'm eating, and we're going to have some Zoom calls where we all get together, we talk about our challenges, and we share ideas. That's the idea behind the membership system, so that we all can be like a community. All right? So, send me an email. That's it. Just send me emails, guys, at paul@askanolderman.com. I'm going to put it across my chest. And so with that said, remember, whenever in doubt, always ask an older man. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.